right, pardon me. Okay. All right. Again, thank you for joining. My name is Ryan Richter. I'm the president of Jefferson Park Forward. Again, welcome to our first virtual meeting. My bad. Look at that. I'm already. Okay. Anyway, our agenda is in the chat box. If you don't have that open, you should be flashing red. You should be able to see some chat. We'll start with the welcome. And then I'm going to turn it over to Katie Stratton, our treasurer, to give us a finance and membership update.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Good to see you on here. Hope everyone is doing well and staying healthy. I just have a brief update. Our finances stand at, we have currently $7,999.25 in the bank. We have a total of 115 members, and that breaks out into 93 regular members, 9 associate members, 12 business, and 1 nonprofit. So that's my update. Hope you all continue to stay healthy.
All right, thank you, Katie. So since we haven't been able to meet and do the normal public facing things that we typically do in a month, we've had to get a little bit creative. And so one of the ways that we are trying to support our local businesses is by generating or creating a business raffle program. And I'm going to turn it over to our marketing director, Maggie, who's going to tell us a little bit about what we've been up to the last couple of weeks and where we're going.
Hi, everyone. It's so good to see your faces. All right, so pardon me, I'm going to read kind of from a script here, but then I'm happy to answer any questions about the raffle in a chat. So as many of you know, we recently launched a weekly business partner raffle. All you have to do is email a receipt from one of our local business partners to marketing@jeffersonparkforward.org. I see a lot of faces on here who have already emailed me, so thank you. And it's the main raffle is a $20 gift certificate to a local business. Thanks to the generosity of some of our neighbors, however, we also get to run a JPF members only raffle. So that bonus raffle is for any JPF active member, so you're paid and up to date, that submits a receipt for $50 or more from one of our local business partners. That full list is available on our Facebook page, and I'll go ahead and post it in the chat once I'm done talking. And that raffle is for $50 in local gift cards. So thanks to neighbors like Rob Van Hook, Rolando Rodriguez, Clint Bout, Rana Beato, and Don Falachek for their bonus raffle donations, we've been able to keep that going. Because, of course, there's a challenge. We're not raising any money right now. We didn't have our fundraiser. So we wanted to try and have something that was manageable. So like that main raffle started, but then everyone just stepped up. So thank all of you for doing that. So again, if anyone wants to donate a gift card or cash toward a gift card for the raffle, you are more than welcome to do so. Again, it's marketing@jeffersonparkforward.org, or you can PM us on Facebook. So in week 1, raffle participants spent a little over $1,850 at Fannie's, Lake Effect, Community, Gale Street, Weston's, Legno, Eris, Fearless, and Columbia Care. Keep it up. Thank you. Our local businesses need our support, so this is awesome. I'll announce week 2's numbers. Sorry, guys, I haven't had a chance to add all this up, but they were close. So I'll announce those in the next day or two, and then we'll keep a running tally as we go forward. Raffle 3 is running now, so don't forget to email your receipts dated May 17th through May 23rd to marketing@jeffersonparkforward.org. The full list of business partners, like I said, is on the Facebook page. I'll post it in the chat. Every receipt gets 1 entry into the $25 gift card raffle, which this week is to Iris Brewery and Cider House. And then the bonus raffle this week is a combo. Thanks to Community, we have a $25 gift card to Community Tavern. And then we're also going to throw in another $25 gift card to Weston's Coffee and Tap. Remember, that is for members only. So if you let your membership lapse and you are able, this is the time to renew. So thanks to everyone who continues to support our community businesses. And this is important until we can get back to seeing them in person.
All right. Thank you very much. Happy hour. So we have a couple of happy hours coming up, virtually anyway. We're going to be using the same Zoom platform here. Our first happy hour is going to be next Friday, May 29th, and it's going to be virtually at Windsor Tavern. And we've already put up a couple of Facebook event posts for these, so it's up there. It's also on our website too, with the link to the Zoom, and then a link to the virtual tip jar for Windsor, which is optional, of course, but we encourage you all. And then we also added a couple of virtual backgrounds so that we could all really experience the thrill of being at Windsor virtually. So yeah, that'll be next Friday, 6 to, kind of whenever. We schedule it for an hour, but if people are having fun, we'll just keep rolling. The following week, Friday, June 5th, we are going to be doing another happy hour. And that's going to be at Rex Tavern. Again, same thing. We have a Facebook event set up for that already with the Zoom link, and we've got the virtual backgrounds for that too, and a link to their virtual tip jar. So we've got a couple of cool things coming up, and we're just gonna kind of see how these go, and we're also looking for any other ideas for these kinds of meetups. So, shoot us a message our way. Okay. Any questions about happy hours? Virtual events. Okay. We got one. Christina, I'm unmuting you. Hey.
I just wanted to mention for those, because I see a lot of, hi, everybody. I see a lot of faces of people who were not at our last event. I wanted to mention that we did do a virtual happy hour already. We did one a couple weeks ago, and we were virtually at Babes. And it was a lot of fun, actually. It went very late, and people came in and out. So if you've only got a little bit of time, feel free to stop over. It was really fun having the backgrounds that Kim from marketing set up for us, so we could pretend we were going to get a drink from the bar and bring it over and sit it in front of us. And it did raise a nice little chunk for the tip jar. So it's not required to tip, but it does help these bartenders. And we're trying to choose places right now that don't have any carry out or any other way to help their staff from income coming in. So, and yeah, please let us know if there's any other ideas or places or things you want to do or topics. We can do all kinds of stuff too. So let social know. We're happy to figure something out.
Great, thank you. Before we go on, I just saw in the chat window from Kim a question about going back to the business raffle. There was a question about if anybody wanted to ante up more money into the bonus raffle. The best way to do that is reach out to any of us on the board, and then we will send you to a link on our webpage, which is jeffersonpark4.org/donate, and I will put that in the chat window. And then you could donate securely through there, and then we'll make sure that that gets added into the program. All right. Any other questions moving forward? No. Awesome. Next, I want to talk about elections, and not the federal kind, but the JPF kind. Our elections are held every September, and it's for our 9-member board. And each year, half the board turns over, and board members serve a 2-year term. And you have to be a paid member of JPF, a paid resident member. So businesses are unfortunately not eligible unless you happen to live within our boundaries as well. You have to be a member for at least 60 days prior to the election. So you have until the end of July, basically, to become a member. And you have to have served on one of our 5 working committees. So the reason why we kind of throw in a couple of barriers is because we want to make sure that the people who are serving our organization in the leadership role have a little bit of skin in the game and have and I've already had some experience dealing with some of the work that we deal with. So that's kind of all I'm going to say about this now, because we're going to kind of each month from here on out, we're going to be kind of talking about a little bit more about what the positions are going to be open, work, how it works, how to apply, what those roles and responsibilities are. I just wanted to kind of throw this up on the table for you, just to have it on your radar. And if you are a member and you're thinking about you're thinking about it, then great, keep it on your radar, and then we'll continue to talk more. All right. This kind of concludes the business portion of our meeting. And I'm going to turn it over to our guest speaker is Representative Mike Quigley, and I'm not sure if he's available quite yet. So I'm going to turn it over to his staffer, Dana Fritz, who could talk a little bit before Mike joins.
Hi, Ryan. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Hi, everyone. Thank you for, first of all, thank you for putting this together. I know it's not the normal format. And it takes some getting used to. I think you're doing a great job, Brian. Thank you.
Thank you.
One of the benefits of doing it this way, though, is that we do get to, the commute's a lot shorter, and we can hit up a few different meetings at once. So the congressman's in Bowmanville right now virtually. And I think as soon as he wraps that up, he will hop on this call as well and kind of give you an update of things that are going on. Primarily in DC, I think he want to talk about a lot of the response to the pandemic from a legislative perspective. And in the meantime, though, I thought I might just give you guys a little bit of an update about what's going on at the constituent office, at the service office, because we are still open virtually. We're not taking meetings in the office at the moment. We're not staff in the office. Everybody's working from home. So you can still get a hold of us for any sort of services that you normally would. So that includes veteran services, postal complaints, immigration matters, things like that. So I'm going to give you a plug for our website, quigley.house.gov. That's maybe if you're looking for a service, say passport issue, something like that, that's probably the contact us function is probably the best way to get a hold of us for an issue like that. Or if you're interested in providing feedback on a bill, either for or against, that's a great way to do it because it's a CRM. It goes into a program and gets filtered out. Thank you very much. To a staffer, a legislative staffer, or a caseworker, and then we track it similar to like Salesforce or whatever program like that. When you call, AT&T and you have an issue, it's a sort of a great data management tool. And then you can also, of course, call us. We are still staffing the phones, 773-267-5926. I have to check because we're not using that number so much, but we are, that is getting pushed to our work phones at home too. So you could always give us a call if we don't pick up, leave a voicemail, and we'll certainly follow up with you as well. We are still getting a lot of regular constituent service requests, although a lot of the requests that we're getting have also changed since the pandemic hit, which isn't much of a surprise. When we started working from home and the stay-at-home orders started kicking in and the travel restrictions started kicking in, they started kicking in in other countries as well. So when this first started happening in March, we were getting a lot of calls about repatriation from folks that were abroad, either for work, visiting family, tourists. Countries closed down their borders as well. And then we had constituents stuck in different countries. Some countries were easier to work with than others. Peru was a particular challenge. It seemed like a lot of Chicagoans were in Peru. and that was a little hard to get them out. India is a large country. A lot of Indian Americans from Chicago are there. And it's a large country and there's a lot of regional control. So it was hard for a lot of people to get to the airport. We worked with the Department of State and the local embassies to sort of coordinate efforts for busing, for chartered flights. At this point, most of those calls and requests for assistance have ended. Most people have gotten back into the country, and some people have just instead decided that it might be safer to shelter in place. Usually that might be if they have family or something like that in that country. If you do, however, know of anybody who is still abroad and is interested in repatriating, you can feel free to send them our way. We work with the embassies in those countries and the Department of State, Counselor on the Hill, to coordinate effort and figure out, how exactly to get those folks back. So that was a lot of the original calls that we were getting when we started doing this. Since then, a lot of it has moved on to economic efforts and economic relief efforts and stuff that came out of the CARES Act. So we're still getting quite a few calls, and you might be curious as well about the economic impact payments, the $1,200 checks. Some people call them stimulus payments. The IRS prefers the term economic impact payment just because we're not even at the point yet of really trying to stimulate the economy. I think that'll be later on down the line. There might be even more funding in that regard. But the EIP payments, I believe the last I heard, 140 million of those payments were processed. So hopefully everyone on this call has gotten a direct deposit payment or a check in the mail. The last I read, about maybe 10 million people have not gotten their payments yet. A lot of those are Social Security recipients. They are still mailing out checks, and they're also, the IRS is going to try doing prepaid debit cards for some folks as well. If you are still interested in, if you haven't gotten a payment, you probably have already tried, but if not, the irs.gov Get My Payment button is where you would go to check that out. You should be able to put in your information and give you an option if you did not say get a direct deposit refund on your taxes. You would go to that website, put in your tax information, and then you'd be able to put in your direct deposit information for your bank and then get that money, and then you wouldn't have to wait for a check. They rolled that out. The IRS rolled out that function prior to having everybody's data in the system. It's a brand new system that they had to stand up. So there were definitely some bumps and hiccups along the way. So what I've been telling people, I still think that there's some data that's not in the system yet. They have been updating it weekly, typically on the weekends. So if you are still waiting, you haven't gotten that payment yet, I recommend checking on Monday. And then if you don't have anything in the system, the IRS has been asking us not to make specific inquiries for people yet. But I think, like I said, they've done a majority of those payments. So if you haven't gotten your check maybe in the next week or two and you think you are eligible, we're more than committed to making sure folks get that. It is, I think technically it's a credit on your 2020 taxes. So what they've been saying, what the IRS has been saying, is that you can claim that credit essentially when you file taxes in 2021. However, that's a year away, and this is supposed to be an economic impact for the pandemic. So we've been pushing to get a more expeditious way to resolve that issue for some folks. So like I said, if you have an issue with that payment, you can definitely give us a call about it, and we can see what we can do with the IRS to get that resolved for you. So we've been getting quite a few of those calls. The other issue is regarding unemployment. CARES expanded unemployment. It sort of did three things. It added $600 to anyone who's currently eligible for unemployment. So if you worked traditional unemployment, paid into unemployment, you're eligible for even $1. I believe it's 13 additional weeks, you would get $600 additional dollars. So you'd essentially be getting $601. I think in Illinois, unemployment maxes out about $438 a week. So some people, that's increasing to, close to around $1,000 a week. It also, CARES Act, then the second thing is it lengthened the time that you're eligible. So I believe it added an additional 13 weeks. So if your unemployment if you were on unemployment previously and the pandemic hit and it was about to run out, you were given an extension. The third thing, which took a lot of more time, was the PUA, the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance. And that was for non-traditional employees, they call them. Gig employees, self-employed, tipped workers, folks that typically don't pay into unemployment insurance, typical W-2 employees. It took a while for the state of Illinois to stand up that program. Essentially, they said they needed to stand up a new program. Basically, the existing system couldn't handle that. And it wasn't set up to take in information in that sort of manner. So they gave a contract to Deloitte to turn around a system. And it took about a month from the time the CARES Act passed, a little over a month actually. And May 11th, that went live essentially. And from what I can tell, there are still a lot of people who are having trouble with the IDES system, both for traditional unemployment and the new PUA, but the system itself has not crashed, which is, I suppose, a good thing. And if there are issues, I would recommend you can certainly reach out to us, since it is administered at the state level. We've primarily been sort of pointing people towards their state reps and their state senators. We've done a lot of work with I think Lindsay LaPointe is your state rep for Jeff Park mostly, and Rob Martwick's office. So we worked a lot with Lauren in Representative LaPointe's office. Essentially what they're doing, since the IDS system is a bit overwhelmed, they don't have the staff to handle the call center. If you're having an issue with that, they'll get you on a call list essentially, and then IDS will call you back. And it's just a better system at the moment because there's just too many people trying to call into that IDES system. And I think that wraps up my portion of the conversation. I think the real rep, Mike Quigley, is now on the call.
He popped in and out. He's trying to get back in.
I see him. Do you guys see him?
Oh, there he is. All right, I'm gonna unmute him.
He's on. Oh, there you go.
Okay, Congressman, you're live.
Well, it's better than the alternative. Thanks for having me. Hi, everybody.
Welcome to Jefferson Park Forward.
Thank you. Yeah, I just finished a meeting with one of your neighboring groups, Bowmanville. Before we started, it was interesting. It had the human aspect of this. We lost my dad a year ago, and this time on Mother's Day, which would be a day she'd like us to be, we had to do a Zoom call, right? And she doesn't understand it. So this is, I try to put this in perspective, and I talk to groups every day, and I talk to folks 12 hours a day, and I talk to a different school every day. I talked to Coonley this morning. you know, when we have flooding, we can go fill sandbags and comfort each other. When my colleagues had tornadoes in their districts, they could literally go and help people pick up the pieces of their life. This is the opposite, right? It's a crisis and people are hurting, but you got to look through a screen. It makes it tougher, I think. But the most important thing I can tell you today is 773-267-5926, quigley.house.gov. Everything else that's exploding upon us is important. But I just don't want anyone to think that individual requests aren't being taken care of. Our normal requests are coming in, like Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, right? And it all feeds into the stimulus checks, for example, and what people's status is. We'd be glad to help with that. The new calls that are coming in are very sensitive. They're unemployment questions. People who would never have been eligible for unemployment before, they're gig workers, 1099s, are for the first time, and the system is struggling to meet that demand. Small businesses attempting to figure out PPP, people who are addressing healthcare issues, repatriation. We had to get a lot of people home when the airlines and travel restrictions took place. Airlines shut down, travel restrictions started. We had people stuck with medical conditions in Honduras, Peru, Prague, Asia, and it has been a challenge. But the office is closed, but we're still functioning. My tech people, who are my security people, had to put together laptops that have secure opportunities to continue to serve people here and in DC. And obviously in DC, well, it's a different picture now. As you know, we've passed 4 major pieces of legislation to begin to address this. Last week's the HEROES Act waits for Senate action. What you'll see is next week, we will be there working on intelligence stuff, defense authorization, some housekeeping. But unless there's some sort of compromise, I don't know that we're going to pass something out of the Senate yet. And I don't have the ability to change their minds too easily. So look, we're open for business. There's a lot to talk about. The reason that CARES Act and its supplement and HEROES matters is it really strikes close to home. The first bill put $1.2 billion into the transportation pockets of the Chicagoland area, PACE, Metra, and the CTA. CTA got $750 million. There was $150 billion for hospitals, $376 billion for small businesses. As you know, the stimulus checks, and HEROES does a lot of the same thing. I do want to mention a few things. Post office is going broke at the end of September. Whether or not anybody likes the post office or wants to give them an A, B, or a D, or an F, we need them. And the HEROES Act gives them enough money to continue to operate. Especially critical now because it also helps make sure that you can vote by mail if you need to. We want to give people that option, given this will be the most important election of our lifetime, and a lot of people aren't going to feel safe going to vote. So a lot out there, but I want to take time for questions and see what else we can do to help folks.
Okay, great. I think, and pardon me, Congressman, this is our first time doing a virtual meeting here.
Yeah, it's a challenge for all of us.
So I think just to make the questions go smoothly, if you guys could put the questions in your chat window, and then I'm going to relay them to the Congressman. All right, we've got a couple of questions coming in. The first one says, is there any update on the efforts to save the United States Postal Service by ordering stamps? Has that made a dent?
No, look, they'll say the post office is going to be a restructuring involving how they're put in place, their debt issues, and frankly, just a cash infusion. Their volume of regular mail is way down, as can be expected. A lot of businesses are closed. You're not getting flyers from car dealers and pizza parlors and so forth. So a lot of their business mail is down. Their parcel, their package mail is up, but it's not enough to make a difference. So there's some structural issues that have to be overcome. And then there's some short-term issues. They have a lot of issues that they're spending more money on, as you could imagine, for protective equipment, sanitation, and so forth, distancing in the processing facilities, and again, protecting our carriers as well. So the HEROES Act goes a long way to preserve that, with the notion that we need to do it in a hurry. We run into a problem that the president has just said that he doesn't want to help the post office, and he doesn't want to make it easier for people to vote. Those were his exact words. And he threatened the 2 states, one of them was Michigan, that if they did, he would cut off their funding. So the first measures were difficult, but we got them done. And there was a lot of bipartisan support on things like elections and post office. This is starting to get tougher. And it's the same crew that doesn't think that a government should have anything to say about whether or not they can wear a mask, or where they wear it, or when they go out in the public. And they see this in the same way, and they're tired of voting for legislation that provides so much assistance at the local level. Ironically, Mitch, by the way, said he doesn't want to help the blue states who are fiscally irresponsible. And look, Illinois has a lot of work to do with its pension program, and I've been involved with talking about that. But Kentucky is in a far worse situation, and that doesn't mean I don't want to help them. I want to help everybody, because the revenue shortfalls are historic.
Okay, great. Next question. Will you push to extend the additional $600 per week unemployment beyond the end of July?
Yeah, it's a good point. It was done in the HEROES Act. Now, so that continues that for a long time. Obviously, it's the first thing that the leader of the Senate said he wasn't going to do. How does the negotiation take place? If I had to guess, the negotiation is probably going to be between 2 people, as it was before, Nancy Pelosi and Mnuchin. And if the president agrees to it, the Senate will go along. That has been made, it's been made clear to the speaker that is an incredibly important issue. We are on conference calls for hours a day with the speaker. We see her when we're back there. She knows how important this one is. In July, PPP runs out if we don't extend it. The small business money. And a lot of small, medium, and large businesses are going to run out of reserves. The unemployment that exploded when the virus hit and the shutdown took place may be dwarfed by what takes place in July. So we need to act and have it in place before that takes place. We need to extend PPP, give them more flexibility, and we need to make sure that those benefits are there. We need to protect food security and housing security.
Okay, next question. Will businesses be allowed to spill out into the public way, as is happening in Hinsdale? We need the extra space for social distancing.
You know, I know that negotiations are taking place with the chambers and the restaurant association and the administration. And of course, it has to dovetail with the governor as well. And I think they're making progress. I know that the mayor's put a little cold water on that notion, but I I don't have a vote in it. I have as much of a vote in it as you all do at this point in time, but you know, I really want to go to D'Agostino's and Sather's Superdog and sit outside with you and eat the best food in the world. So I'm really hoping they figure out how to do this. I think the best way to do it is vehicular traffic is down. I think there's a lot of streets that they could either expand onto the street or close some of these streets, especially at certain times, and allow people to do this. I think there has to be a way to do that. I think there has to be a way to, we're opening up the state parks. We got to be careful on how we do the national parks, but we need to with protections. We need to figure out how to share our open spaces in public ways, just to keep everybody fit and sane.
Okay, great. Next question is from a member who's having trouble using the extended FMLA assistance for childcare with their employer. Is this something that your office can assist?
Yeah, my memory just faded. Someone, oh, there you are, right next to me. Can you unmute, Dana?
Yeah, I think I'm unmuted now. Yeah.
Okay, what I would like to do to make sure, and if we have to coordinate with our local electeds as well, we will. Whomever is asking would call the office, communicate with Dana, or if after I'm off the call, you can make sure we link up and make sure anybody's question is answered. It's a good example of a lot of the unemployment or the SBA stuff. Unemployment's sort of a mixture of state and federal answers. So we will work with our locals to answer any of them. Some of the questions were incredibly detailed and individual to that particular person. So rather than take up that whole community meeting's time, we made sure, and I have a problem at all being involved in those discussions. So please do that, and let's make sure the link takes place tomorrow morning.
Okay.
Or just give the office a call, or you can use my email. It's dana.fritz, like on the screen, at mail.house.gov, mail.house.gov.
Great.
I'll add that in the chat window in just a minute. All right. Does anybody else have any questions? If you do, please put them in the chat window. All right, I've got one question for you, Congressman, and it kind of, I'm not exactly sure how to phrase it, but it involves what are your thoughts on the kind of patchwork nature that individual states are opening up, and in the different phases? It doesn't seem to me that there's a real comprehensive program nationally, and they're just kind of throwing it open to the states, or in some cases the locals.
Right.
In your opinion, or moving forward, do you see any larger thought process, strategic thought process here, or moving into the fall? Are we just going to see what happens?
God, you're absolutely right. This screams out for a coordinated national system of guidance. And, right now, we don't always tell a state what they can do with their transportation dollars, but sometimes there's a carrot and stick approach. So we need reliable national guidance. We need information that we can trust from the CDC and others. And we need uniform procedures and policies that work. And they don't have to, it's not a one size fits all. The locals can administer it, but in a carrot and stick approach, the aid they get can be tied to how responsible they're being. And obviously hotspots would be treated differently, but it would be fact-based, medicine-based, science-based, and not just the whim of whomever's involved. And obviously the sufficient testing, treatment, and tracing is all part of that. Federal government's responsibility is no locals can handle this with the shortfalls that are taking place. So my job is to draw the resources in. Going forward, I would love a coordinated system of communication at the local, state, regional, and federal level. And I'd even add this, rather than going to war with the World Health Organization, and there's a lot of other reasons we need to be close to NATO now, trust me, and the EU and the United Nations and our other allies and even our adversaries, it just has to work that way. Otherwise we're doomed for a repeat of this. I think you can only anticipate about a 20% dampering in the summertime. That's what public health people are telling me. Even if we get a little bit of a break, we're going to go back into it until we have a vaccine. And to your point, we need reliable information, leadership that isn't afraid to tell us the truth. We saw in news stories today about the CDC using conflicting means of putting the statistics and facts together. Same is true with other states. And as a result, we're flying blind, which is particularly dangerous. So we have a lot of lessons to learn from this. I'll close by saying this. After 9/11, there were a 9/11 Commission and others. And a lot of finger pointing and a lot of blame and a lot of yelling, which wasn't particularly helpful, but we did learn, right? And to us at that moment, and we were all there, that was the most dramatic moment in most of our lives. But we learned from it and we are safer, and we have to do the same thing from this. We have to learn that we need each other on all those levels and that we need to communicate, coordinate, and take care of each other. The political instability in parts of this world will have, as a result of this virus, will have implications here. The terrorists see this as an opportunity. So there's a lot to contemplate here, but I do think we can come from it better off and better prepared. But it's a great point. So I want to thank you all for having me, and I want to encourage you to check in as often as you need to. Nothing's too big or too small for us to at least try to help. And I appreciate your letting me come on tonight and talk to you.
Well, thank you very much, Congressman. We appreciate having you on.
Great. Thank you so much, everybody. Stay close, but not too close.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Take care now.
All right. We're going to do one last thing that I forgot to put on the agenda. That's usually on the agenda at our normal meetings, and that's kind of the any and other bucket where we ask you all if there's anything that you feel that we should know about or anything that you want to share. And before I throw that out to everybody, Dan and Megan would like to discuss that property co-op conversation that we had from a few months ago at our meeting at Weston's, and some follow-up that they've been doing. So I will unmute you, Dan and Megan. Okay, it's all yours.
All right, Megan, you want to go ahead or you want me to?
Go ahead, Dan.
All right, well, Megan and I, along with Anthony Hall, who I don't know if he made it into the call or not, have been going back and forth and trying to work on just putting together or trying to figure out how we could organize this co-op so that we could buy local properties and bring more business into Jefferson Park and the surrounding areas. So just a quick update on that front. We have named this idea Rebuilding Blocks. We have a Facebook page now. We also have rebuildingblocks.org without a website on it yet, but we will have one soon. And you can sign up for our mailing list at Rebuilding Blocks on Facebook. We have met with a lawyer, a property lawyer, and a local investor, as well as a accountant, a money guy, and just to try to figure out exactly how we need to organize this. So what we're working on now is outlining our business plan, which we should have. It'll take longer than I think it will right now, but we're working on that. And if there's anybody in the group that is experienced with business plans and would like to be involved, we'd love to hear from you. And I think that's where we stand right now. Megan, is there anything that I missed?
Sorry, I was still on mute. No, I think that covers everything. I just put my email address in the chat box in case anybody doesn't remember the name and wants to be added to the list. It is Rebuilding Blocks. And you can just email me directly. I'll add you to the mailing list. We are going to get an email out here soon as we're starting to move forward with the business plan and working on that. So we could, if anybody is interested in participating in that, we'd love to hear from you. I think that's pretty much it right now.
Thank you guys very much for giving us a couple minutes. We appreciate it. And yeah, thanks for organizing everything, Ryan.
Yeah, thank you. Let's talk offline. I'm be curious to know how and what our organization can do to help you guys out and vice versa, and see where this goes. So
Awesome.
Thanks for sharing.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Ryan.
All right, does anybody have anything else to add? Anything you want to say, any remarks before we shut this thing down? All right. Thanks again for attending our virtual general meeting. Really appreciate it. Hope you guys found this useful, and when things, whatever normal looks like in the future, hopefully we can do more of these kinds of things for people who can't physically be present at our meetings. It's a great way to see everybody. So thank you. And one last poll before you leave. Sorry, I'm playing around. Let me know if you could see this poll. All right.
Hey, Ryan.
Yes, sir.
Hey, I just wanted to say that I really think this is a great idea, and you did a wonderful job in setting this up. So thanks a lot for all you did.
Thank you very much, Dennis. Appreciate it. Okay, well, by overwhelming demand, we should do more virtual live stream events, which I kind of figured. But thank you, everybody, for weighing in, and we'll see you. Hopefully, we'll see all you guys next week at our happy hour. All right, take care, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Take care. Thank you.